like in this video, we're just going to build a basic authentication feature for a Django application. And like every application, we need to start at the models. That's basically the database that we need to build for a Django application. And it's probably one of the most important aspects of any Django project, because like, if you don't get this right, most of the errors and the issues you'll face would be related to the models and further down when you're the developmental process. So we're just going to leverage ChatGPT to just quickly, sort out a couple of things here. So first we need to
Right.
create
And
model and creation.
no, go ahead, Mohammed. Yep.
So we need to
Go
create
ahead.
a model and a custom user model that enters all the different columns and spaces that were going to be within our SQL database. And the second one is the creation one, which basically handles creation of new users or super users. So we'll have ChatGPT do that.
Yeah, and basically, I just want to give the update that
Mhm.
these will essentially just be reference codes. A lot of times with ChatGPT, it's not exact, which I think is pretty good, right? Because it avoids just a copy paste situation, whereby you don't really learn anything. So I think this is I think it's good to point out that this is just for reference.
Mm-hmm. So now when we generally have the model here, we're going to copy that model from here to our Django project. All right. So going over the model a little bit, we have a custom user manager model that defines two functions, where one where we create a simple normal user with username, email, and password, and the second is to create a super user. Um, and then we have a model that just enters the types of fields and record that we're going to keep in our SQL database, basically. So like models, this is going to be a character, like this is going to be a column with strings in its field, and we define the maximum length for those for that column, so on and so forth. Like, I mean, this is pretty much self-explanatory. If you spend some time, use ChatGPT, it would make things much more easier to understand. So next thing, with once we have the models down, we need to make sure that we do two commands. Like, one is to make migrations and the other is to migrate. So this actually creates the database that we want to um, basically uh, set up before we work further in the application. So Python manage.py, make migrations first, and then Python manage.py and migrate. And if you look after this command, you'll see a db.sqlite file here, which shows that the database has been created. So the next thing we need to do here is to basically create work on the views.py side. Here we need to create the register, login, logout logic, right? Those are views.py basically tells us um, uh, it doesn't tell us anything. Rather, this file is used to create the back-end logic that you're going to run in a Django project. So we're going to define three functions here: register, login, logout. And what they intend to do here would be it would run through a like when some user submits a form on the register HTML page, the information we get from that form would be run through the register function according to the logic that we have created to input that information within the database that we created using the models.py file. So uh, again, we go back to ChatGPT. We have ChatGPT create uh, the backend logic for register, login, and logout. We have that logic here. We copy the code and paste it here. So this is basically a decorator which tells when a certain function could be run. So this function cannot run uh, until the user is logged in. So that's basically it. We're going to remove these two like these two functions that we don't need. Again, ChatGPT does not give you exact things, and we have already made edits to these functions so that they don't throw errors when they run basically. So we have this sorted out. I just need to make a few more corrections here.
There's authentication. Yes. Mhm.
All right, so this should be sorted out. Now we need to move towards, I think, the basic HTML pages that we're going to use. But before that, because we're going to leverage something called forms library in Python. So we're going to create a file called forms.py within our sub app and create those forms here so that we can just leverage that across our HTML pages. So create a new file called forms.py, and these are the forms that we created previously. I mean, yeah. So this should be like, this is pretty much simple to implement. You don't need ChatGPT for this. We're leveraging for this form for to create custom users. We're leveraging our model custom user that we created in the models. So it's going to pick up all these fields for the form. And yeah, so that's pretty much how we set up the forms. Now we need to set up the HTML pages. Best case scenario, like the most best way to organize all of this is to create in your super folder a folder called templates. Within that folder, we add all the individual HTML files that we need to create. So login, register, logout, and dashboard when we're logged in. So I'm going to do that right now. With HTML files, like the I think one of the best things ChatGPT can do is to create a simple structure of HTML files. So on which, if you want to make them like if you want to beautify them more, you can just uh, add CSS, JavaScript, make edits on your own. But if you're just a backend developer, like in this case, we're just focusing on the backend logic, then we don't need to do anything more than just, have HTML files created by ChatGPT, copy and paste them, and we should be good. I've already done that before with using ChatGPT, so I'll just, copy those files over, and yeah, it shouldn't be that, I mean, this is pretty much like this should be simple enough for us to sort out. Log in, then log out. Then the dashboard, and then the register one. Now we need to sort out the URLs for each of the in the sub app, so that we have we have location sorted out for where, basically the URLs would tell the Django application where where to go when a certain URL is clicked, what logic to get, and what basically what to show. So for that, we're going to create all the collective URLs related to the sub app within the sub app folder. So it makes things much more easier to sort out when we're dealing with larger projects. Uh, we'll have like this would make things much more easier, because every project would have specific uh, sub app related like functions, and you can sort them out easily uh, if you are sorting your URLs within the sub app instead of the entire Django project. So we get this delay. So this doesn't seem that difficult. So basically, we need to import the views file here so that it knows, and then we need to run. We need to create a, we need to reference uh, every path here: login, logout, register. And then with views dot we link out the related logic in the views.py file that we created. So if someone searches let's say example.com/login, it's gonna go to, when somebody goes to that path, it's gonna see the logic is in views.user-login. Would go there and run that logic. The name here is to just simplify the process. So in the backend logic, if we enter login in certain areas, it would automatically go and pick up this path and see where this path leads, and you run that logic basically. So that's just a shorthand way to get things done quickly.